This program was edited for historical purposes. Its intended audience is all individuals affected by the flood, namely those in Aurora, Montgomery, and in particular, the Cherry Hill subdivision. At 1 o'clock on Thursday, July 18th, a television news crew from WGN arrives in Aurora. I-88 is partially shut down, as only semis are allowed to pass westward beyond Route 31. A deep coating of water makes it difficult for even the larger trucks to get through. This driver, who thought he could make it off at the Orchard Road exit ramp, decides to turn back. John Benda, manager of maintenance for the Illinois Tollway, explains the situation.
The watershed in this area flows from the northeast to the southwest. And the toll road bisects that watershed. And the water is normally carried across the farm fields and through a series of ditches and pipes under the toll road to the southwest. The intensity of the rainfall last night, our meteorologist tells us we were somewhere in the area of 14 inches in the last 24 hours out here. That's just simply too much rain too fast for the system to handle.
Have you ever had to close the tollway down before? I mean, this is amazing.
It's very unusual for this kind of a condition to happen. Typically, the toll road has not been closed as a result of floods. I can recall maybe one instance up north years ago. But we've got so much water. This morning we had almost 3 feet of water, and it was simply too much for cars to pass.
At 1:30, the water level in Cherry Hill is at its highest, 10 feet in areas along Manchester Road. And with the threat of more rain to come, evacuation is well underway.
See if there's anybody in it.
Residents, many of which had been up for 30 hours, spending their entire night battling the water, finally surrender to the element that is still slamming into their subdivision.
What is your name, sir?
Lawrence Lang,
Spell your last name.
L-A-N-G.
All right. How long have you lived here?
I've lived here for 11 years.
Ever seen anything like this?
Nothing. Not like this. No, this is the worst ever.
Tell me about your house. I know it's probably unpleasant to talk about.
I got two built-in swimming pools. The basement and the family room and my garage, everything is underwater till the second floor, you know. So it's up now getting ready to go into the kitchen, living room, and dining room, but I had to leave, you know. So.
You're left with some stuff, too. And what were you guys doing this morning, packing?
This morning when we found out we were going to try to get out, but the cars were all underwater, you know, so I just packed this a few minutes ago and got out. Wanted to get to higher ground here, you know.
There's a baby back there, that's what I got to get out. What? There's a baby back there. What?
While Illinois Department of Transportation trucks stage at the command post, many residents of Cherry Hill struggle to get out on their own power. Conservation police join the many boats, mostly private, that are already removing folks from the hardest hit areas. The trucks move in.
What are they going to take? What's overcast? It's going to get worse? Yeah.
Okay, now since you've got the pump here and you've got these guys coming out, if you could get an ad of him saying anyone needs.
Is your basement full or?
Not clear, but it's you can hear it rushing in.
Yeah.
It's coming in through the windows.
Yeah.
Coming in through the windows on mine now.
Yeah.
About the.
The other side's the ladder.
My electric finally went out. I didn't turn the gas down.
How's the water situation on the other side?
It's okay. I mean, some streets are a little flooded, but they are certainly nothing like this. Not being evacuated, nothing like this. So you've been here how long?
20 years.
You've never seen this before, I'm sure.
No, just in '83 when they had a big rain and the Blackberry Creek overflowed, but we still stayed dry where we were on Chatham, over in the cul-de-sac.
And today?
Today, no. Today we got water up to our first floor. So
why is this happening, do you think?
Well, I don't really know the reason. I know they're higher over to the north of us over here, and then Cargill's higher to the west of us over here. I said, and we're just a low-lying subdivision, and the farther south you go, the worse off it is even.
What do you think might have contributed?
Well, I really think that when we moved in here, Cherry Hill was like one of the only subdivisions out this far west of Aurora, and there was a lot of farmland that was all surrounding us, which gave a lot of room for the runoff for water to go. Now we're sitting here and we're like an island. To the west of us, they're going to build a subdivision. Why, I don't know. Across the street from us, we've got Orchard Valley with a beautiful golf course and retention ponds that aren't, holding all the water. Their houses are staying dry. We've got the nursing home over here to the east of us, who I think was evacuated last night because their retention pond wasn't holding the water. And all that water, all this water, and all the water from the west is all coming into Cherry Hill because we are now the low-lying area. 7 years ago when we bought our house, they said it wasn't in a floodplain. I don't believe the house is in a floodplain, but I do believe that all this area has been overdeveloped, and now we're taking in water. Now, if this is an act of God, okay, fine, but, our houses are all full of water.
But it's still rising down there.
Yeah. It's coming from the north. Before it can be pushed out.
Now all those new houses are been drained into our house now.
Yeah, I live here too.
You do? What's
Over there. So
right, we have 2 trucks stuck over there.
Okay. The floodwaters continue to rush across Galena into late afternoon. This water maintains a strong current as it travels down Manchester Ave. The homes most devastated by the flood can only be seen by boat. Tracy Lane as it makes its curve towards Manchester. There's a van right here.
Let me see if I can get it.
No, don't do that. You might.
All right, let me get us out of these streets. Scared of shit. I don't need to do that. Maybe that's the thing.
Beer? You're cold.
You got a beer? Yeah. You got a couple cold ones for me too?
Yeah. Got a whole case, buddy. They were just floating in my kitchen. They're cold.
Just grab them. I'll get one on a return trip.
All right. Here. Are we on TV?
You bet your ass you're on TV.
Oh, hold on. I got audio.
That's our house on the left. There. Edit that out of there, huh?
Don't worry about us. Still got power.
Yeah, ain't that crazy? That's unbelievable. The currents, man. Yeah, let's look on the house and get the hell out of here. Hold on. Hey, hold on.
Okay. Thank you.
We're out of the current.
What's this right here?
That's a flower garden. A flower garden my father built. How, Mark?
Okay, keep on.
Outstanding. We want to stay away from Manchester. Yeah, we're coming.
guys are on TV, so I'd gotta try these to put away the beers.
What channel we on?
I'm 21. Channel 9.
I'm 21.
Fast! Hurry up, Chris. Anybody else? Sure, I'll try it. Oh. Can't catch? Gotta pull my arm out of place. I haven't heard about it, but that. I think so, yeah. Yep. So my dad's talking. Nice knowing you, neighbor. You guys want to see out here?
Nah.
Car, man. That's unbelievable.
Sean, if you go in between these trees and stay, you can see about where the back of the car is going to be.
No,
There's one in the bird's driveway.
I walked over top of one, didn't even know it was there.
Are they on the news?
Got an extra beer in there? No, but Jeff, no, but your son sure does. Jeff, put the beer away. Your brother's up there pounding beers.
How's your house, you guys?
No, not your Jeff.
How's your
Not little Jeff.
The way you beat like that, to get there, and that, there, and that.
I think you were kidding.
Surprise them.
These people just moved in here to the right. Yeah, they just moved in. They got a pool and everything. What's up, Mr. Lager?
I think it's receding.
I hope so. We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
You guys want out? Sure. Don't give up the ship. Look out, Mark. We can go hit bottom, Dave.
Tell all the residents to meet here. He's the only guy left in the cold six-pack.
Maybe only back in the water.
What do you think is causing this, besides the obvious, obviously?
Well, obviously we had a lot of rain, but we're all concerned about the housing developments that are happening to the west of here and to the north of here, and ensuring that there's adequate control of the Blackberry Creek that's just to the west of here that seems to overflow in these situations. And the city tells us that they want to put smaller sized houses on the property adjacent to us, which means more driveways, more rain runoff, and I'm not certain we're able to take care of this time.
So that's really obviously a concern, and I've been hearing it from everyone. It's a concern that they're taking up too much land. There's not going to be
It certainly is, without having a plan to take care of these low-lying areas that we all live in. And you know, I haven't had a drop of water in my basement in the 9 years I've been here. The sump pump never runs, and it's up to my waist, and I'm on high ground here. Yeah.
And that's obviously, there's some new subdivisions right this way too.
To the north and to the west, yes. And I don't know where else the water can go, and they want to put more in out here.
They'll go with you to go see the mayor.
Well, you know, I think in circumstances like this, you just wait for answers and maybe have
We did last time, but he said it was all fixed.
Well, we'll go
with the pumping station.
Huh? Yeah, the pumping thing, that never works. Or somebody never has the key.
Over the past 24 hours, we've experienced almost 17 inches of rain throughout the city, which as of 6 o'clock this morning resulted in significant street flooding throughout the community and a number of flooded basements, as well as additional flooding in some of our subdivisions. By late afternoon, much of the street flooding had resided, and also the flooding in a number of the low-lying areas had subsided also. But we were also seeing that in surveying the community, about 4 areas of the city still are experiencing significant flooding. We are currently in the process of moving people out of 3 subdivisions in the community, and in the 4th area, the people usually have already left that area, so that we are now establishing that evacuation of those areas. They probably amount to maybe 300 or 400 homes within the community that are currently at a level where we've asked the people to leave.
Cherry Hill, you've been out there.
Yes, I was.
We were back actually in the subdivision when you were there, I think. But you've seen it. It's pretty serious out there. And there are some residents there who are saying, they're blaming it on too much development around the area.
The situation that occurred here was a result of 17 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. The people that are involved in that tell me that that is twice what is considered a 100-year storm or a 100-year flood. So no system is designed to handle that. Last night, as of 9 o'clock last night when I drove through that area, it was dry, and up to that point we'd had probably about 10 or 12 inches of rain. It was the rain over the evening and the night that caused us significant damage, with the almost 24 hours of constant rain. No system is going to handle 17 inches of rain. As you can see, the flooding has occurred in areas throughout the entire Chicago metropolitan area.
Right, but Cherry Hill, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to let you finish.
Cherry Hill is hit harder probably than any other area except maybe one in Aurora, from my understanding. And they really, honestly, I'm just asking you to address these concerns. They're saying with this new subdivision right there to the north, one planned to the west, it's just all this concrete and stuff is sucking.
And each of those areas have had additional flood control. The development to the north is a golf course community which has almost twice the amount of flood retention than what is necessary to hold the water back. And in fact, had the development not been there, and if you looked to the north and saw all of the retention areas up there that had been built, that water would have been down in Cherry Hill and the flooding would have been even more serious.
So is development playing any role in this? Do you think, let's look to the future. I mean, if you keep developing, you are rapidly developing out here. Is that going to hurt, do you think, the systems in place right now?
17 inches of rain in 24 hours hurts any system. We design, and all of the systems are designed for 100-year floods. And this system would handle a 100-year flood. No system is designed to handle 17 inches of rain in a 24-hour period.
So you really, it's just that your take on this is it's simply the massive amount of rain that fell over the last 24 hours. It has nothing to do with development at all.
It has to do with the massive amount of rain. It also has to do with the fact that Cherry Hills, which was developed as an unincorporated area initially, was also built in the middle of a floodway, which never should have been built in the middle of a floodway. And today, a development like that would have provided for a floodway to carry the water through the middle of it. Manchester was a low point and is in fact an old creek bed. And as I say, 30 and 40 years ago, in the when the county allowed that area to be developed, it was developed in the middle of a floodway.
Some residents say they were told it wasn't a floodplain.
Some houses are and some aren't. Manchester, which is not the entire development, is in fact in the middle of a floodway, and the areas around there are a floodplain.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
I'm going to stay with you. Go.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Mayor, first I want to find out what sort of problems have rescuers, fire, police been experiencing because of all this?
Well, the major problem is just getting in and getting people out. There's been a lot of water in certain areas, but they've been able to handle it. We've had adequate resources. The state of Illinois has brought in trucks. We've had adequate boats. I think Conservation even loaned us some boats, which has made it possible for an orderly movement of people out of those areas. And in fact, many of the areas people left as the water was rising were able to get out by themselves. It was only in some areas where when the water was rising, they stayed in their homes, and then it cut off their way to get out without using extraordinary equipment or boats.
It's still a dangerous situation out there. Several roads are blocked off. People are trying to get through that. Lights aren't working. Some cases, phone systems aren't working.
Anytime you have anywhere from 3 to 8 feet of standing water in an area that's a subdivision, it's a dangerous situation. And we are encouraging people for that reason to be out of those areas until the water subsides, and then we will work with them on the cleanup.
And you have declared a state of emergency as well, along with the governor?
The state of emergency was declared this morning at about 6:30.
Oh, at 6:30 this morning?
About 6:30 this morning.
Oh, okay. I thought it was more recently than that.
That's a preliminary. When you know you have a situation like that, it's declared very early, because then certain costs that you incur can be recaptured at a later date. So that's one of the reasons you declare a state of emergency very soon. And we knew it because this morning I was unable to get from my house to this area without getting a hold of a city dump truck to bring me in. The roads following different road areas, because of street flooding, it was not a good idea to drive through them for fear of your car dying. And we had a number of situations where cars are stalled in roadways, and then when a car is stalled in a roadway, it's in the middle of the road, it delays our emergency vehicles, and it's just another obstacle that we have to move in order to clear the city. But if you look throughout this community, I mean, you can look at, and there are serious areas, and there are about, like I say, 300 to 500 homes that are being evacuated, that are flooded, and those people are suffering severely. At the same time, the vast majority of this community has properly drained, and the water is flowing out of those areas. The streets are passable. In fact, with the sun that's come out today, those streets are dry, and you'd hardly know that it rained last night.
Sergeant Bullard, call 6-7.
Aurora Police Command personnel direct their officers to the trouble.
Pick up the boats and take them down there, and I think they're going to have to use those for the patrolling of the area or the security of it tonight.
Hey, Paul! Paul, you want us to go over there? No, we're going over. Okay. Yeah, we're going over.
Conditions along Rathbone worsen as the evening approaches. Many are trapped by the raging water. A freelance cameraman rolls as Aurora police officers and firefighters battle a strong current in an effort to help citizens reach safe ground.
The stream is coming from a block in Montgomery, and the residents are rerouted. Trying to get Grandma to come over here now.
Skycam 9, WGN-TV's helicopter, flies into Aurora's east side late Thursday afternoon. Steve Sanders looks for more visible signs of flooding.
Get a lot more home for your money out here. All right. No, surprisingly, That's the casino, I guess. I've never been to that. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. See, at least it's, yeah, it's making it. Yeah, so far, this area is looking okay. Surprisingly, let's head out to, yeah, it's over, yeah, it's spilling over its banks. Yeah. You know what? It doesn't look any different from a lot of other stuff. Well, so far, I would say I'm not seeing anything quite as bad as what we saw in Plainfield. No, that's always an island. Uh-huh. What's interesting is this doesn't appear to be a river overflow. It's just rainwater. It just apparently can't go, you know? Well, unless there's... Yeah. Maybe it flows in somewhere around here. Look, there's another lumber yard that just had everything. Yeah. Whoa, that's right. Well, no wonder the Burlington Northern is closed for commuters. You get that? No, wait a minute. Yeah. Look, we have a ComEd truck just below us here, directly below us, that might be stranded. He's got water all the way up. Where, yeah. Those are box cars that are just stranded. The ComEd truck is straight down there below those lines, and I don't... He's in the bucket, yeah. That thing, now that water is all the way up. It would appear to the engine. Think those guys are going to go work on power lines standing in water? I doubt it. Yeah, yeah. He's waving, yeah.
Nearly every business along the southern section of Route 31 is inundated with water as the overflow of Blackberry Creek continues to search for low ground.
At peak drive time, you'll never see that many just sitting in a yard. Yeah.
As the first day of the flood of '96 came to a close, there was an uncertainty of what the night would bring for Aurora. If you still had power, you may have watched the 9 o'clock news.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9. Tonight, the story of two disasters. There's the search for clues into the mid-air explosion of a TWA jetliner off the coast of Long Island, an explosion that killed 230 people. And here at home, widespread flooding. What were once neighborhoods are now lakes as the Chicago area tries to dry out from record-setting rainfall. Good evening, I'm Allison Payne.
And I'm Steve Sanders. We begin with our flooding disaster. Here now is the very latest. Rising river levels have prompted the National Weather Service to issue a flood warning until midnight for areas hardest hit by the deluge. Relief is on the way, however. The state of Illinois is handing out $25 million in low-interest loans to flood victims. Governor Edgar has declared northern Illinois a disaster area and is activating the National Guard to help waterlogged communities. The disaster region includes the entire Chicago area, Cook, Will, Lake, and DuPage counties, as well as several collar counties.
I think everything that can be done is being done. We do have the National Guard on standby. If this situation deteriorates, we will be shifting additional state workers into this area of the state.
Well, close to 1,000 homeowners in DuPage County are feeling the brunt of these floodwaters tonight.
They're still working at this hour to clean up what they can and will probably continue to do so into tomorrow. WGN's Julian Cruz begins our team coverage. He joins us live from unincorporated Naperville. Julian?
Allison, Steeple Run could be one of the first spots where those National Guardsmen are called in. This is not a lake that I'm standing in front of. This is a road that runs through the Steeple Run subdivision. The waters are slowly starting to recede. Once that happens completely, people can begin the big job of starting to get their houses back into shape. I got it. Don Leipold showing you the submerged stairway to his basement. There was little time to react to the rushing floodwater. They overtook this Steeple Run neighborhood in little over an hour's time. It'll take weeks, though, for Don Leipold to clean up.
There's 3 bedrooms down there that are going to have to be gutted and re-drywalled and carpeted and trim and everything else. So
Leipold fears the repair bill will reach well over $20,000. His teenage daughter, Brianne, lost many personal items.
I didn't want my bedroom to go under my stuff and everything. I didn't think we were going to be able to get it out.
Ordinarily, this Steeple Run home is not waterfront property. Marilyn Weichert says there was almost no time to save valuables from her basement.
By the time we saw it, we were afraid to go down there because the escape window could have burst in and we would have been trapped.
There are dozens of waterlogged homes and cars in this quiet community, but not everyone's underwater. Those on dry ground are feeding and comforting their less fortunate neighbors. Though many are looking at thousands of dollars in unexpected cleanup bills, there's a realization that there's much to be thankful for. Miraculously, no one in Steeple Run lost their life. There hasn't been any rain here near the unincorporated Naperville area, so fortunately, that is helping the waters to recede. If anyone needs shelter tonight, Naperville North High School has been set up as a temporary shelter, but many people have elected to stay at home tonight. That's what the Leipolds are doing. They are staying at home. They want to get an early start on things tomorrow. Reporting live from unincorporated Naperville, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Julian, thank you for that report.
WGN's Dana Kozlov spent the day in Aurora, the area that got hit with the most rain, nearly 17 inches. Dana?
Well, Allison, darkness is certainly deceiving. What looks sort of like a pond behind me is actually a portion of Interstate 88 near Orchard Road in Aurora. It's been closed to automobile traffic all day, part of last night. Only semis have been able to make their way precariously through the floodwater. We don't know at this time when it's going to open up, but it's certainly been a long, hot, frustrating day for people here in Aurora, especially those living in the Cherry Hill subdivision. They've been trying to salvage their belongings all day, and while some are blaming the floods on Mother Nature, others are blaming it on something entirely different: development. By boat, by truck, people evacuate Aurora's Cherry Hill subdivision this afternoon.
There's a lot of guys over there. A lot of people need to be picked up over there.
Streams of people, like refugees fleeing a war zone, wade out of the neighborhood with belongings in tow.
I just packed this a few minutes ago and got out. Why don't you get to higher ground?
It's the worst flooding those living here have ever seen. Roughly 17 inches of rain fell in just a few hours. Sewers couldn't handle it, turning creeks into rivers. But some here say too much development is also to blame, leaving excess water with nowhere to go.
All those new houses are been drained in our house.
I do believe that all this area has been overdeveloped, and now we're taking in water. Now, if this is an act of God, okay, fine, but, you know, our houses are all full of water.
I don't know where else the water can go, and they want to put more in out here.
They say a new subdivision to the north and plans for another one straight west will wreak havoc on this already low-lying neighborhood. But Aurora's mayor says development has nothing to do with the flooding. He says Cherry Hill should never have been built here in the first place.
Cherry Hills, which was developed as an unincorporated area initially, was also built in the middle of a floodway, which never should have been built in the middle of a floodway. And today, a development like that would have provided for a floodway to carry the water through the middle of it.
Mayor Pierce says it would take millions of dollars to fix the drainage problem, and he says the bigger issue is asking the rest of Aurora to pay for it. As for the sewer system, Pierce says only an ark could handle this much rain.
17 inches of rain in 24 hours hurts any system.
At this point, people living in Cherry Hill and people trying to drive across Interstate 88 can only hope that more rain holds out. Live in Aurora, Dana Kozlov, WGN News.
Okay, thank you, Dana. We should point out the Chicagoland area hasn't seen this much rain within a 24-hour period ever.
Our chief meteorologist, Tom Skilling, joins us now from the WGN Weather Center with more on the record rainfall. Hey, Tom.
Hi, Allison. Hi, Steve. Well, the record nature of this, the historic nature of this rain becomes clearer to us with each passing hour. I don't care how you develop an area, there is nobody that can handle 17 inches of rain in this period of time. It's rarely ever occurred anywhere in the United States. In fact, 17 inches of rain in Aurora is not only the heaviest ever here anywhere in the Chicago area, it's a new state record and nearly a national record, falling only 2 inches short of the all-time record 24-hour rainfall at a little town in Texas back in 1979. There they got 19 inches. See the yellows and the blues? That's the corridor of heaviest rain in the Chicago area. Attach some numbers to our viewer and weather observer reports, and you see Aurora wound up with 16.91 inches. Sycamore had 13 inches, 11.5 inches out at Elburn, 16 inches at Plainfield. This was an amazing system. Now the question becomes, will that heat that you can cut tonight ever come to an end? And we got some good news. We'll tell you more about how this happened too later on. Allison, Steve?
Thanks, Tom. Flood victims need to use caution as they begin the job of salvaging just what they can.
In Orland Park, where 100 people were evacuated from their homes, they returned to face some hidden dangers in those floodwaters. WGN's Dina Baird joins us live from the southwest suburb with that part of the story. Dina.
Allison and Steve, right now you can still see those ComEd trucks behind me. There was so much water in this neighborhood that crews had to come in to make sure the electrical circuits were safe before they could even begin pumping. And now that the water is receding, unfortunately, it's not carrying away the hassle, but it is potentially dangerous. Perhaps the only people enjoying the flooded streets are the young. Who needs to go to the lake to ride when the lake seems to have come to him? But in this water, bacteria breeds and viruses lurk.
You don't know what's in the water, and so that you could cut yourself, scrape yourself, and introduce bacteria that way. So it's not the type of water that people should be playing in.
Sickness is only one hazard of high water. Motorists attempting to cruise through flooded roads might not realize the force they'll encounter.
And the next thing they know, they're in a river, and a lot of people die that way. If they do find themselves in a situation like that, they should evacuate their car as soon as possible.
In fact, statistics show flooding is the most deadly natural disaster, surpassing even tornadoes and hurricanes. What seems like a more calm curse can carry a deadly current. The best bet is to stay out of the floodwater altogether. A somewhat difficult prospect, though, after Mother Nature's torrential downpour. At the Water Reclamation District, employees monitor drainage systems and act accordingly to try to prevent even more overflow.
As the river begins to rise up to the height of the locks, we have to open the locks up to permit the water to go back into the lake. We don't want to do this, but we have no choice.
Without a reservoir system to catch pumped-out water, the city's deep tunnel system, 300 feet below ground, quickly fills to capacity. For the first time in 6 years, the city was forced to open the locks, allowing 900 million gallons of rainwater mixed with sewage to flow into Lake Michigan.
We have our industrial waste people standing by ready to take samples, and they have a continuous sampling program going while we're reversing to the lake, and they monitor not only what's going out there, but how far it's being spread along the beachfront.
Concerns about contamination have forced the city to close the beaches, warning residents to stay out of the lake. But Mayor Daley says those beaches may reopen by tomorrow. It may take at least that long for flooded homes to be bailed out. Remember, the rigorous work, though, carries yet another potential problem: electric shock.
When the outlets are underwater, there's a danger there. But don't be misled. There can also be hidden motors. There can be electrical cords that are underwater. So don't take a chance.
If your home was flooded, try not to flush the toilets excessively. The discharge could make water problems worse. As the waters recede, be sure to clean the walls and floors thoroughly with both soap and chlorine bleach. And if clothing or bedding was saturated, throw them out unless they can be thoroughly disinfected. The Village of Orland Park is also offering free tetanus shots at the Village Hall from 12 to 4 tomorrow for anyone who may have come in contact with contaminated water. And health departments all throughout flooded areas are urging people to be mindful of children. Look out for skin rashes, or if they're nauseated or vomiting, definitely get them to a doctor. Live in Orland Park, Dina Baer, WGN News.
A lot of good advice there. Dina, thank you for that report.
Commonwealth Edison is working hard through the night to get power restored to about 4,000 customers, but most of them will still be without power by daylight. Cause of the outages, power lines and transformers submerged in water. Edison estimates the storms caused nearly $2 million damage to equipment. Included in those losses are 40 electrical poles that were washed out. Ameritech has been working all day to restore phone service to about 4,000 customers. Also tonight, Metra has indefinitely canceled runs on its flooded out Burlington Northern and Lamont Heritage Corridor lines.
The CTA will honor Metro monthly passes during the morning rush hour on the blue and orange lines.
And unless you're in the middle of it, it is hard for most to fathom the extent of the flooding.
Allison, you have to see it to believe it, see it from the air. In fact, earlier today I got a bird's eye view aboard Skycam 9. Our camera captures a waterfall cascading 100 feet or more down the side of a rock wall of a quarry near Joliet. Were this a natural occurrence, it might be a tourist attraction. But tonight, it's one of several bizarre sideshows seen from Skycam 9. Not far away, nervous homeowners no doubt wish more water could flow into the quarries and away from their houses. Near Plainfield, neighbors gather on a suburban cul-de-sac, frantically filling sandbags in hopes of holding back the deluge. They've no doubt seen these homes just a block away, where floodwaters are halfway up to the rafters. In the middle of this sudden lake, new townhome developments have become islands, some still under construction. You have to wonder what the real estate market for these will be like after today. Here, an entire lumber yard appears to be floating away as a swimmer ignores the hidden danger of floodwater, makes his way to a raft of 2x4s, climbs atop, and appears to challenge the disaster. If you've ever stood next to a school bus, you'll get an idea of how high this water is as you see the flood drawing close to the windows. 5 feet deep, maybe? Could be more. Fortunately, we didn't see any kids on the bus. You know, it's hard to believe that so much of this destruction has been caused by a river that it's a sure bet a lot of Chicagoans have never heard of, the DuPage River. And there may be a good reason they've never heard of it. Normally, it's just a meandering little stream. But that little stream is now a mile wide in places, and it's bringing a raft of trouble. And if this is the ComEd crew sent to restore your power tonight, don't hold your breath. They may be in worse shape than you are. And while this crew was stranded, so were thousands of Burlington Northern commuters. You can see the silver rooftops of a dozen or more Burlington trains sitting idle in the afternoon rush hour. And for motorists, driving was no bargain either. Interstate 55 during the height of the rush hour stopped cold by the flooding near Joliet. One of the worst hit areas, ironically, is Plainfield, a town that is no stranger to disaster. 6 years ago, Plainfield was struck by a deadly tornado. Tonight, natural disaster of another sort is targeting Plainfield once again.
1 o'clock Friday morning. River Street continues to live up to its name. The State Police helicopter Air 1 keeps vacated homes free of looters. Lion Metal is swamped. At 2:30, the Montgomery Fire Department is dispatched to assist a stranded motorist.
man. We're not going to go on the other side. Hey, open the door! Not this door. Not this door. Open that door. We'll all get kicked. Guys, come on. Let's go out here.
The cleanup begins at sunrise Friday for many Montgomery merchants. But for others, the sun can only shed light on all the work to come. Oliver Structures, Schaefer's Greenhouse, and Heinz Lumber are some of the businesses affected by the Blackberry Creek overflow, as seen on WGN News at noon.
You're watching Chicago's very own WGN News at noon.
It's soppy, it's filthy, there's bugs everywhere, it's unlivable.
That's the terrible toll from the Chicago area's flooding disaster of '96. Flood victims begin cleaning up. Many now realize some of their belongings are gone forever.
Julian, what's the situation there?
Sonia, there is still a lot of high water here in Montgomery and also to the north of us in Aurora. The locals here in Montgomery tell me that the standing water that you see behind me here comes from the badly swollen Blackberry Creek, which is a tributary to the Fox River. This is Route 31 where all the water is, and as you can see, it's been swallowed up by the creek. All of this has taken a big bite out of local businesses. There's a big cleanup job ahead for the 30 or so workers at Heinz Lumber Company. Surprisingly, yesterday they were dry, but this morning their lumber yard became part of Blackberry Creek. The 18 inches of standing water has since receded, but the damage totals are rising. Computer systems have been damaged, merchandise on the shelves, and most expensively, the lumber. The preliminary estimates are that they've lost close to $500,000 in high-quality lumber. Among the store employees who came in to clean up today is Matt Michaels. He's worked here for 9 years, and he says it hurts to see his store in such bad shape. Despite that, Matt says it's amazing how people have pulled together to help each other out.
Here and in my neighborhood as well, we found the same thing. I live on the west side of Aurora. I had about 5 feet of water in my basement, and the neighborhood comes together, and the people here come together, and you kind of find out who your friends are.
Behind me here is another business that has been affected by the floodwaters of the Blackberry Creek. This is a nursery with a greenhouse operation, and as you can see, it is under a great deal of water, and these folks here will be looking at a lot of damage as well. There has been a lot of high water here in Montgomery. The good news is the Blackberry Creek seems to be slowly going down, not quick enough for a lot of people. And to the north of us in Aurora, the word is that the Fox River is also starting to go down, so that's good news for folks up there. There are a lot of damaged businesses and homes up there as well. Reporting live in Montgomery, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Amidst the cleanup in Lakeside Sans Souci, there is a family who has lost much more than material possessions, as Robert Jordan reports.
As they drag away soggy parts of their lives, members of the Rogers family have had to deal with even more horrible news, the loss of 3 family members in the crash of TWA Flight 800.
It's been a nightmare since. The loss here for material things can be replaced. The loss with Pam and the kids could never be replaced.
Betty Rogers remembers standing outside and seeing her house being engulfed by the rising waters, feeling helpless to stop it, feeling terribly afraid that her daughter Pam and granddaughters Sharon 10 and Katie 8 might not be alive.
She had talked to her husband at 6:15, and he said she had her boarding pass, and there was room on the plane, so we knew she was on it.
Pam and the girls were on their way to Paris for a vacation. Now her mother and two sisters are salvaging what's left of their flooded-out house while her dad has flown to New York. It's a low point in their lives that they are fighting to get through.
I think it's love of family, friends. It's just so much support we have.
Support from neighbors like Pete Anderson across the street and Barbara Wilson next door to him. In this tight-knit neighborhood, they are part of the Rogers support system.
I just told him we'd be praying for him and his family, and I know that's what it takes to get through a situation like this.
Just went over to give her my condolences and tell her, I was here. If there's anything I could do for her, to let me know, and I was very sorry.
And with that support, Betty Rogers is holding on to memories of her daughter and granddaughters, and gaining strength from her religious faith and family support.
I think right now I'm numb. I don't think I really know, and I think the Lord helps me through.
You don't think it's hit you yet, though?
No.
The impact?
No.
Once you get a little deeper, the fish, you can let it go. There they go. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Pumpkin. Bye, sweetie.
Parkview Estates is a subdivision in an unincorporated area south of Phillips Park. It was one of the first areas to flood early Thursday morning. Now Friday evening, we still need a boat for the journey to Laura Van Meter's house.
This car was in the street, and now it's in the front yard. Are those your rafts?
Yeah, those are my rafts. Those are my rafts for my pool I no longer have.
Yeah, here's their house.
You gotta circle around the trees, though, Chris.
There's
Yeah,
a
we're
fire
over
hydrant?
the fire hydrant. Well, the fire hydrant's like right there.
Yeah, right.
Right over there. We're okay. Jerry went all the way around the little tree. I don't know if he wants to or not.
This is a driveway right here.
You can get right in the front door?
Yeah.
Yeah. Donnie, can I have the keys?
Did you bring them, honey?
No, we're gonna circle around. Shush. Don't do that to me.
Oh, we're gonna ruin your shrubs.
Oh, they're just getting torn out anyway. Keep going, Dick. Get towards the house.
Don't step on them.
All right,
Here's
we're
the
good.
smart butt.
We're good.
Is there a landing there?
Yeah, there's a big slip step. It's real slippery though.
We did vacuum earlier today.
Oh, where's the kitty cat?
Let me see these kitty cats.
There's one. And here's the other one. This one's out in the open more.
So is the pool ruined?
Oh, poor kitty cat. Not too happy.
Hi, Danielle.
This gives you a good view on dry land, actually.
We'll try to open the garage door.
Okay, yeah, let's try and get in the garage.
Wow.
What time did you leave?
I
4?
got out about 3 o'clock in the morning. I waded out in the water about chest high with my 1-year-old son. My husband was out taking care of other people because he's a firefighter and didn't know our house was in danger.
Same here.
And, it's a shame he's helping other people, and hopefully we'll get some help in return now. Our insurance company's not being too cooperative, but our whole downstairs is ruined. Our bedroom, our clothes, and everything is down there. A brand new computer, and our cats are stranded here. It's amazing. Our pool, everything you worked so hard for. Did you get in the
No, both deep freezers were over on the side right
How do you
against the back door because I tried getting in. Still about 3 foot deep in there.
My car's in there?
Yeah.
The dumpster, that's what freaks me out.
Yeah, we saw that earlier. We didn't know it was from over there.
Now we gotta go back for the kids, We had a long enough vacation without them. How'd you guys do?
What?
Having a good time yet?
Yeah, we got our cars out.
Hey, we got the cars. We're okay.
The kids are okay?
We lost this one. I think when you put your hand on it,
You can't wash off the grime, you have to power clean it. High-pressure hoses are needed to remove the muck and dirt that the flood of '96 left throughout homes in parts of Aurora. And now that federal disaster relief is available, officials are urging flood victims to call an 800 number for help.
There's no lines to fight. You can do it from the convenience of your home.
And now, more than a week later, the water has receded. The warped and broken furniture has been discarded. The homes have been gutted. Now the rehabbing process is in full swing.
I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to have to. That and some friends. A lot of friends have been around helping. I have to do it that way. There's no insurance.
Mark Howard's boss has given him time off. He has applied for federal disaster assistance and will spend the next few days with a hammer in his hand.
I will have to return next week, so I've got to get as much done as I can.
Vernon Butler lost a lifetime of belongings in minutes last week. The water rose so quickly that he had to be rescued.
When we were picked up by a boat, it was about 3 feet deep. We were standing on a porch reading, and the water was up around our ankles. And then it came up about another 1.5 feet, so we had pretty close to 4 feet inside.
It's the swabbing down of the floors with pine sol. Every house smells of it now, compared to the way things were reeking last week this time.
It smelled like sewer, and we couldn't breathe in here, and just had to hold our noses.
Homeowners say the flood has taught them that things, TVs and toasters and clothes, don't really matter.
The furniture you can replace, the carpeting you can replace, your walls, but the simplest things.
You find out what's really important.
Yeah, and you know, you're looking for things, and all of a sudden, where's this, and where's this picture, and cheerleading, see, things like this that they'll never have that again.
A yearbook, an album, in dollars, not much, but in value, priceless. Robert Jordan, WGN News.
This concludes the Aurora Flood of 1996. This program was videotaped and edited by Dave Weaver, with additional camera work by Gerald Jackson and Scott Lasker. Special thanks to WGN Television for making this program possible.